was there, and he was all dressed up like a brahmachari, fellow, and he was just preaching me to buy this book, and I was into yoga, meditation, Baba Ramdas's different stuff, and I was trying to blank my mind while he was preaching to me. And my wife was sitting over there glaring at me. You're going to spend waste more of our money on these stupid yoga things and everything else. $10, which would now probably be $100, right? Yeah, yeah. So finally, so there it was. It was very clear. I could try and just pass it because I knew when we got home it would be hell. So I could either, satisfy her, satisfy Maya, or else I could do what I thought was right because he was making a lot of sense. So finally, I paid the $10. I got the book, and it was a big Krishna book, right? And I took it home and I started reading it. It was the story of the Shamtaka jewel, and it said this happened after the previous chapter. And I couldn't figure out because there was no previous chapter. I was even trying to cover open. And finally, I found out that this fellow had sold me volume two of volume. But it all seemed everything was appropriate. Okay. And then I went to the temple finally, and Kesha Bharati was there. He gave me Bhagavad Gita and some other books like that. But the Bhagavad Gita for me was always like kind of boring. Oh yeah, because previous lifetime, we're coming into this from previous lifetimes, certain people and so on. And so it's ABCs. Okay, I know the ABCs. Yeah, but yeah, you can go on learning them more and more. So anyway, Bhagavad Gita. So I was thinking our PowerPoint show, what we were going to talk about tonight was, there it is. We have this thing called the Diary of a Traveling Preacher. There we are. There's Monkey and Piggy. Go back home, back to Godhead. But tonight's topic is Bhagavad Gita as you like it. Bhagavad Gita as you like it. H.P. Swami, Anjana Sudha Academy, developing your practical appreciation of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says the devotional service is not a matter of imaginative ecstasy or sentimental speculation, but it is practical activity in the foreground, spiritual life. Yeah, yeah. So that's it. Developing practical appreciation. How can I use this book? Prabhupada wanted to print Bhagavad Gita with a vinyl cover. He said, so my disciples can go out on the street like these Christian preachers and be there like that. So Hansaduda, the person he was, he printed something like that, those old vinyl cover Gitas. And Chakravarti, his commander-in-chief, was coming back from Singapore when they were just ready to do the printing run of 10,000 books or whatever, and they just showed it to him last minute as a final check. And the gold embossing cover on the thing, because they were Chinese or Singapore, whatever they are, yeah, they had reversed the characters because they didn't really read English characters, and so the whole thing was being published. 10,000 copies were going to be printed with the covers. So anyway, I go, sure, I'm sure. Okay, yeah. So practical appreciation, practical use in our lives. That's what we're going to talk about. Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So here's Monkey and Piggy again. They're famous characters from Chinese culture, and we're using them all the time. Okay. So here's a very thing. This is from a play by Shakespeare called As You Like It. The Bhagavad Gita, As You Like It. Act 2, Scene 7. He says, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. So we have Sir Guy with his entrance and his exit. This is to show you that we all come into this world as toothless suckers. And we all go out of this world as one, okay. And one man in his time plays many parts. His acts are 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. This is 500-year-old English. I wasn't listening, maybe 300 years old. And then the whining schoolboy, I got 2 of them here, with satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwillingly to school. Do you remember this? I have specific images of kind of heading to school. And I remember there were pine trees and other people would show up, my friends and stuff. And we were just dawdling along. And, this is Shakespeare. Probably says you can teach Shakespeare in the Gurukula. Okay. Okay. And then the lover. singing, sighing like a furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Oh, Juliet, your eyebrows are two bows that have pierced my heart. Your eyes are arrows. Sighing like a furnace, okay, with a woeful ballad composed to his mistress's eyebrows. If you remember this, I mean, the guys, if you remember the first time some girl jilted you, I remember, don't have that experience in India. Then, okay, then I didn't put them on here. Then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard. What is the pard? Leopard. This is 500 years old. Jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble's reputation, even into the mouth of the cannon. Long live free Cuba! Yeah, you did that. Remember that? We were Brahmins, so we kind of do that age. And then the justice judge in fair round belly with good cape on. Now we're starting to get some people here falling in line. Yeah, with good cape on, lined, with eyes severe and beard of a formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. Like you can talk about modern things and what's happening. Yeah, it's kind of, no, no, no. I think it's kind of us. Okay. And so he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose, socks, well saved, a world too wide for his shrunken shanks. Anybody here? Starting to, yeah, yeah.
William Shakespeare.
Huh?
Sounds like Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. And his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans, so ends. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. There we go. So wins teeth, so wins eyes, so wins taste, so wins everything. Baba said, if you want to understand word power, read Shakespeare. If you want to, you can teach it in the Gurukula. I paraphrase sometimes in GBC settings, Shakespeare. I have to, gurus are falling down, right? Everybody should be reinitiated immediately, right? I think that this idea was, okay, all you guys should be reinitiated by Bhagavan. Bhagavan should go to Berkeley and immediately reinitiate all of his disciples. It was a whole, and there was a controversy, And so I started paraphrasing things seen from Shakespeare, the speech, and everybody, ooh, you know, yeah, yeah. Shakespeare, his father died. His father died, and his mother remarried. She was a younger woman, remarried his uncle, Hamlet's uncle, very quickly. And Horatio came his friend, and he said, why have you come? You've come from Paris. We were both studying in Paris. I've come back to Denmark now. Why have your wife also come for the funeral of your father? And Hamlet said, well, don't say you came for the funeral of my father. Say you came for the marriage of my mother, remarriage of my mother. And Horatio says, well, yeah, they did follow pretty quickly one after another. And Hamlet says, no, we must be thrifty. The cooked meats for the funeral feast were able to do double duty as cold cuts at the wedding feast. And this is pretty quick. So anyway, this is the potency of words. Shakespeare's words they move people. Yeah. Okay. So why are we talking about this? Well, because look at here, Bhagavad Gita 213, right? 213, 213 Bhagavad Gita. So it's exactly the same move, changing bodies, and we have a very, very famous, changing bodies exhibit, which comes in all sizes, right? The Festival of India is big, it's wider than this room, isn't it? Wider than this room. I mean, Madhua sets it up like someplace prominent where I remember we had in Boise, Idaho, in a park, on the other side of the river, a little park on the other side of the river, and he set up right there, where just set up. And you can see all these college students just biking over there, college students with the cream of the crop, everything. They were sophomores. And I was watching these guys would go by this big exhibition, and then they would just circle their bicycles. They would slow down. They would start looking at them, and then they would go, "Hey." And you can see them. They were finding themselves in the whole thing and then thinking about it and stuff. And yeah, what's his name? King David. He also uses the same analogy. It's a very, very powerful analogy how we're changing our bodies, and you think about it, and it makes you think about, who am I? Where are you? Where are you? About here? Where are you? Right? First thing I feel like I'm just about here, like that. Yeah. And my heart having heart action. Like, yeah, it's guaranteed. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, another one, little setup outside a bookstore in Santa Cruz in the little patio, that little area there in the triangle. And they were chanting and chanting. And some lady came, looked like she was with her sister, and they had a couple kids. And so the lady and her sister went into the bookstore, and the little girl stayed out because she wanted to just listen to the chanting and stuff. And then she was going over, and I was kind of like halfway listening what she was saying. She was there with the thing, and she was saying, "Mommy, Auntie, Susie," little child. I mean, that goes right into your heart. You understand that. So we use this in terms of preaching and so on. And the Bhagavad Gita has these basic ideas and concepts that you can get put into a cultural perspective like that. So our point is finding out how I like Bhagavad Gita. I don't do very. Cannot do the whole Burijan thing of analysis and what's talking about all these kind of things and so on. But everybody's different. Okay. Okay. And then we have again nectar of instruction, which Prabhupada says constitutes first, first instructions for neophyte devotees. I've gone through GBC arguments, the same thing. I never left nectar of instruction. I just I know I'm not going to have to go beyond it because, yeah, it's not just 11 verses. In every single verse has a whole purport, which is being explained, modernized, and everything else and supported from all the Shastras. So we have a commentary, which in the back has a list of all the verses cited. Yeah, and with the whole thing now. We published it as a smaller book now. We're working on it. This is the extract from the Nectar of Tapapachi. So these are all the verses cited in the purports and stuff. And you see, because it goes from the most simple thing to the most advanced thing. So you have verses to support Radharani and everything else. And after a while, you realize these are not, just any verses. These are the verses that the acharyas use, right? After we have as they like it. Yeah. So we see that the acharyas use Bhagavad Gita as they like it. And if you're reading through the nectar of instruction, you see a Bhagavad Gita verse, then what happens? These are all the Bhagavad Gita verses quoted. You can't see the first one because I kind of have to figure move this stupid line. Okay, 9.
Well, you're on mute.
Yes. You can click on more and say hide controls. I think that will go on.
Where's
more towards the end. And so there hide video, hide floating video controls, the one below. Yeah.
Thank you. Why did you tell me earlier? Okay. So we're talking about how Bhagavad Gita is useful for us, how we're trying to make it a very practical instruction for us, okay, and take it to heart, okay. And we're giving this example of showing how Bhagavad Gita gives the same example of changing bodies that is Shakespeare and King David. Then looking at Nectar of Instruction, which is a basic book for everybody, then we see Bhagavad Gita is cited, but we have actually cited 15 times because you see the same verse is cited twice. I don't know which one it is. Yeah. And so, yeah, 9:30. Apiche Sudarashiro Bachate Mamananya Bak Sarageva Samantavya Samyadhyadisito Hisa. So if you know these Bhagavad Gita verses and how to use them and why they're there, this is the order this is the order in which this is alphabetical, I think. But if you look at them the way they're appearing, Apiche Sudarashiro, this is probably maybe verse number 4 or something, or 5, like that, where it's occurring. Because, yeah, it's the whole idea. This is taking us in 11 verses from how to control your senses all the way up to be a confidential associate of Radharani. Yeah, in 11 verses. Hang on. Yeah. So it's a little bit of explanation in terms of purpose. 719. Ahunam Jamanam Mante, Ganavan Man Prapajante, Vasudeva Sarmanati, Samaha, 7-4. Bhumir Apnalo Vayu, Kamano Buddha Evacha. You're talking about that. Okay. So anyway, we go on like this, and you see these are all just, I can think in Spanish, clave verses. These are all key verses and so on. And this is a different, Kanista Adhikari will have faith in God sometimes, you know. Well, a woman goes to church and prays to God to get the credit card bill before her husband sees it. Oh, God. A student goes and prays to God, you know, please, I haven't studied at all this entire semester, please help me. Kanista Adhikari, just to stay liberated. But some of them, they don't want it anymore. They want to have that much relationship with God, so we can't do much with them, leave them to Krishna. But some they want to progress to this, innocent, you know. And so, and then they start to, you know, become initiated devotees. They become Madhyama Adhikari. And finally, they have faith in the process. They're sure this process is correct. Many questions I have, many doubts I have, and it's keeping me from really, you know, fully surrendering. Okay, that's natural. Nobody expects me to have blind faith. Okay, but I'm making progress. But not always, you know, good Shastric basis. So Uttamadhikari has, you know, undeviating faith in the scriptures, but also has a very, very developed logic based upon scriptural resources like that. And so you can deal with different people and show that what you're presenting is you know, based upon our whole fabric of our whole culture and so on. So we develop it. And some different people have different size memories, different size abilities. And some people may memorize, you know, 20,000 verses. You start off in a Brahmin family in South India practicing this stuff. You memorize the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, he's well, yeah, it's possible. You don't need a cell phone. Yeah. All you need is a love injection from God. So this is another way. Well, we like Bhagavad Gita. And how many times does Prabhupada cite Bhagavad Gita in any volume of Srimad Bhagavatam? It's just 10, 20, 30, 40. It's the basis of our entire culture. So when you come across the Bhagavad Gita verse, you know, don't just kind of skip over it. Stop and chant it. And if it's a verse you think you should know, close your eyes and refresh it. Maybe you study it that night. Have a Bhagavad Gita, okay, have a Bhagavad Gita class on that verse, and then you'll start to refresh them and learn the Bhagavad Gita the way Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas use it. We're reading down here. We read a verse. Prabhupada's quoting a verse. How many verses would you have to know so that there's a 75% chance that you'll know that verse? Basically, how many verses are quoted 75% of the time? 100. This is 100. Usually people come back between like 78 or 100. So there aren't that many verses that are really take up like at least 3/4 of our whole philosophy. And there aren't that many concepts either. Same concepts are in these Upanishad, everything else. But when you learn them from different angles, you learn them in better and better and how to explain it to your community. So this is another way we appreciate Bhagavad Gita very much is, you know, as they like it. And just take the time to read it. And then as you start to become Uttamadhikari, like Narada Muni. Prabhupada said, you can become as good as Narada Muni, right? Yeah, and you can travel all over the universe, right? Yep, with your guitar. Okay, what else you got here? Okay, oh my God, what's happening?
Right, Prabhupada primarily, when he spoke in a public setting, primarily only spoke from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
So does that imply that we as devotees should only in a public setting primarily speak from the Bhagavad Gita rather than the
Yeah, Lord Chaitanya to the common people. You see, when Prabhupada's giving a lecture in Bombay in 19 so and so on Chaitanya Srimad Bhagavatam 625 or something. So I look it up. What's Prabhupada say when giving in class in that verse? Prabhupada starts off with the verse, the purport, then he goes right into a Bhagavad Gita lecture, Paramatma, this kind of stuff. That's the basic principles which we need to hear, but in an attractive fashion, different ways like that. So common people, it's just kirtan and prasad. You know, then people a little more educated, but we put it in the way that people can understand it, appreciate it, you know, and they can touch it. You know, And so this is just a whole other collection. I was trying to go over this, why I like the Bhagavad Gita. I like 10, 8, 11 to 11, which is 108. Yeah, the four nutshell verses. Yeah. And it's very easy to remember the verse number because it's 108, right? 108, 10, 8. Yeah. If aham sarvasya parabhava mata sarvam paravartate iti mat bhavajante mam brahmava samandita Unyam Parashparam Atilmacha Mamnitya Tushanti Charamanti Cha Setesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Budi Yogam Tam Dinamam Puyantate Eshamevanu Partam Mahamagyana Jamtamaha Nasyatma Bhavato Ganani Piravastaha. If you just memorize these four verses and know how to use them, nobody will ever figure out that you only know four verses. We have Shakti for everything is going. In the end of the chapter, Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. This goes so the basic Christian document on who they are is the credo. You mentioned this, or the Nicene Creed. We believe in, one God, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. Oh, we believe in one God. Okay, see if we agree or not. We believe in one God, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, by whom all things are created. Bhagavad Gita 10:8. Yeah. Who for us men, our salvation is incarnated as Jesus Christ. Yeah. Accept all. We accept four Catholic and Apostolic churches. They accept one. We do not look for the resurrection of the dead. There's little differences in some things in there. And some of the things are just detail, which are outside of we don't know about Pontius Pilate. You start talking about it, dialogue. Yeah, we believe in one God, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, by whom all things are created. For us men, our salvation is incarnated as Jesus Christ. Is that good enough for you? Well, it's pretty good. Yeah. The Lord's Prayer, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yeah. So in fact, if you're not talking with people who are looking for a fight, you find so many reasons by which people then, are willing to work together in practical projects. The Mormons came and dedicated how many hours towards building the temple? Every Mormon came from the local congregation and helped build a temple. They gave $10,000 in donation and stuff. Yeah. Areas where we agree on. Who loves Krishna more? His mommy or his girlfriend? Who loves Krishna more? Mother Yashoda or Radharani?
I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, even in social circumstances becomes a problem sometimes in marriage life. Pushti Marg says, is a baby Krishna. Yeah, he's okay. We're way beyond atoms and molecules. Okay, 821. This is where it talks about, Vrindavan Dham and the purport. So Bhagavad Gita goes right to Vrindavan Dham. I forgot what the verse is. If you're a computer walla, you can see it's all binary numbers. 821. Okay. And then 523, 2 and 3 is 5. Shaknataya Vyaksatum Praksavira Vimokshana Kamakroda Bhavan Vehigam Sayukti Satsuja. And the purport probably talks about the 6 bushes and so on, So, and then 15:15, Isopanishad 15.
हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापिहितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषन्नपावृणो सत्यधर्माय दृष्टये.
And this is hell for the Mayavadis. This is so clear. Yeah, remove the effulgence and let me see your face. Yeah. And Bhagavad Gita 15:15.
वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत् वेदविदेव चाहम्.
You know Sanskrit. Vedaishcha sarvairameva vedyo. I know Krishna. I have a working knowledge of Sanskrit. Do you have a working? Yeah. So very, very key verses. I like, things like that. What else we got here? This is why I like Bhagavad Gita. Everybody can come. Somebody else. There was one Brahmin. He was one devotee in South India in Tirupati, and he couldn't read very well. Right? He couldn't pronounce the Sanskrit very. He couldn't read. It said right. He couldn't pronounce the Sanskrit too well. And the other Brahmins were teasing him. Oh, Brahmin, how is your Sanskrit? This and that. But as he was reading, he was crying, and Lord Chaitanya said, "Why are you teasing you?" My spiritual master said, I chant it, I try and chant it. Can't understand it so perfectly. I don't know the Sanskrit so perfectly. But why are you crying? Because whenever I start chanting, I think of how kind Krishna is, how Krishna helped Arjuna like that. And what did Lord Chaitanya said? You know Bhagavad Gita. Yes, that's it. Vedaischa sarvera hameva vedyo Vedanta vid Vedakradeva chaham. I got the word by word on it. This is what it means to know Sanskrit, to know the Vedas. Yeah? Okay, what do we got here? I love the first part. I love the setting the scene story. I just love to tell that story and just putting it into modern language, what was happening, the background, and Draupadi. It's such a drama. Such a drama. Yeah. Prabhupada says you can only understand Bhagavad Gita if you worship the deity, right? It's a great, Prabhupada says it's an extremely emotional book, extremely emotional story. Sometimes Krishna appears to start talking about something you can't figure out why he's talking about it. And Vishwanath Chakravarti said because he's looking at Arjuna and Arjuna is looking at pouting. Why are you making me fight this battle? You're not telling Vyasadeva to fight the battle. Why can't I just go in the forest and sit down and chant Hare Krishna like Vyasadeva? Yeah. And so Krishna cuts into an argument, which basically at that point says, because you're not on the same level as Vyasadeva, right? You're a different person. This is what's right for you. So yeah, we begin to worship the deity and stuff, and Bhagavad Gita starts to reveal itself and so on. And here it is right here. Everybody's waiting there, and Bhagavad Gita is being spoken, the whole thing. So I like very much the whole story of the Mahabharata, and because it makes it real. Shankaracharya's commentary on the Gita, Shankaracharya has a very, very nice poem about the Gita. He said, the battle of Kurukshetra was like a river, this roaring river, just carrying everything away. And then there was great high walls. And once you got in, you couldn't get out, right? And then there was big crocodiles. How big are ocean-going crocodiles? Yeah, bigger than this room. Yeah, bigger than this room. Yeah. So big crocodiles and sharks were in the river. This is the Battle of Kurukshetra. And there was a whirlpool, which was just sucking everyone to their death. And who was that? Duryodhana. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it. Sucking one person. And who were the sharks and the crocodiles? Karna, Ashvatthama. Yeah. They were, Arjuna was nothing compared to them. Nothing. Karna was his older brother, more powerful in every way. Shoot faster, shoot farther, shoot more heavy. Every way. Yeah. And who was the great roaring current, just pushing every way away? Huh? Dronacharya. Dronacharya with the army, right? What is it like 450,000 men coming down on me at one time? Yeah, feel lucky. Organized by his guru. Everything else, wow. Okay, and the high banks was Bhishma, like that and so on. But it says, but you, O Krishna, became the ferryman to take your devotee safely to the other side, like that. Very nice, beautiful. Setting the scene, the background, the perspective, and so on. It's such a nice book. Yeah. Okay. That's a PowerPoint. I love PowerPoint. There's so many things. In the very, very end, there's a story where Sanjay starts talking about his experiences and what he's talking about. And it's very, very nice because Prabhupada says that he says, I see all these things are happening. And Prabhupada said, yeah, this is Guru Parampara. He says the experience is through the transparent via media of Parampara, but it is a direct experience. Like some people here are wearing glasses, right? But you're having a direct experience of the world through, this very nice experience. That's what parampara means. The first lens is focusing on the second lens, which is focusing on the third. And you look up and you see the moon, and you don't see a pink alligator. You see the moon, right? But as you can tell, this is very simple. He's making it more practical. There's a whole analogy. The telescope's really good. And then demons. I love the chapter on the demons. They engage in unclean works meant to destroy the world. It's just completely modern, modern thing. They say there is no cause of the world but sex desire, and I just love that chapter. And I know several Catholics love that chapter. Demons. The Virat Roop, the universal form. Actually, well, not Virat Roop, but before the Virat Roop, there is Yeah, Sanskrit.
Vibhuti yoga.
Yeah, Vibhuti Mat Sattva. Yeah. And this is very nice because common people. He says, hey, I'm a common dude. I got all this work to do. How can I think of you? How can I think of you? He says, well, I am what?
Water.
Taste and water. And Papa says these two, taste and water and the light of the sun. He said, those are two which you can talk to everybody about. You can just go anybody and say, hey, kind of kind of cloudy today, or hey, like, can I sunshine? Yeah, immediately. I mean, everybody, so many people, they get their life from the sun. You see so many places where sunshine. John Denver, one of the biggest singers of all time, 640 million hits or whatever. He was a Gandharva. What was his theme song? His signature song? Yeah? Anybody know it? I'll sing it. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. It's nice, huh? Sunshine on the waters is so lovely. Sunshine almost always gets me high. He was a pantheist, complete pantheist. He stopped one entire show, maybe 3,000 people there, and started singing the entire Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven. The organizers said, oh my God, what's going to happen? The entire crowd just broke into cheers and stuff. He's a very nice person. He died in an airplane accident. He was a Gandharva, of course. He was a very pantheistic guy. So yeah, you can relate to these things and talk about them. And sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. What else? Taste of water. There's so many nice things in there you can talk with people about. One time I was just parking down next to the bay in Berkeley there, the van is sitting there and looking at the ocean. I started contemplating the ocean. My God, when bodies of water land in the ocean, you start to get these realization of what the ocean is. Or some guy says, I am God, you are God, we are all God. Hold your nose like this. Let's go to the zoo, fella. Do that hand on my cap there. That's a lion. One guy had a big iron bar. He was doing some work in the zoo, and it fell down and bounced into the gorilla's cage, right? And the gorilla came over and pushed it and picked it up and just thing like that, and then looked up at the guy. It's not stupid. So there's so many nice, the rot roof, the other thing there, called the ABC. Okay, and it's the ABCs, like that probably says. So if you know your ABCs, then maybe you want to move on to something else, like learning how to write letters, and after that, composition, poetry, so many rules and regulations and so on. But it's nice to go back to the ABCs, go back to them and stuff and get over it. It's just that respect is like reading Bhagavad Gita now for me becoming more and more relishable because I begin to get the subtleties. But mostly it's written for a different culture, a different time, a different place, and so on. And so many times Prabhupada will say, but this is explained better in my Bhagavatam. So, but yeah, it's basis. Two more points. Okay, what do we have here? Okay. Two princes. Two princes. Yeah. Who? Hamlet and Arjuna. Oh God. We have a whole PowerPoint show for this. We've done this. I've started doing it. I like these things, my nature and stuff. You can tell these. We go with big professors, meet with them, and I'll tell the story of Hamlet. There was one fellow who was in a very fortunate circumstance. He was caught up in a civil war situation where he had to, kill his cousins, uncles, people like that. He had to, chastise people involved in this whole thing like that. Very confusing about what is right, what is wrong, and everything else like that. Who's the story? And they say, oh, it's Arjuna. They want to show off their intelligence. I say Hamlet. And they go, no. Yeah, almost identical story. It's a civil war. Yeah. He has to fight with the people he kills, everything else. And Arjuna, I have the whole PowerPoint show. God, we had to translate it into Spanish. Translating. Anybody speak Spanish? What language do you speak? What are you trying to speak?
Malayalam.
Okay, translate this into Malayalam. Yeah. In fair Verona, where we lay our scene, two families, both alike in dignity, from ancient grudge break forth to new mutiny, and civil blood makes civil hands unclean. Yeah, we took 3 days to get that across. So it was a thing. We could not find good translations of the Hamlet. You know, they would drop phrases or something. It just it was weak. And as we are going on like this, we came in contact with a guy, but his name Raul something. He's a poet laureate for Chile. I mean, this guy's meet this guy. I figure 70% of what I can do, what is it? I can understand 70% of what the guy is understanding. Unfortunately, he's a good guy because if he didn't, he was an evil guy. This guy is a genius, incredible person, very old. Just coming in contact with Mahabharata is a good translation in Spanish, and he would just in South America, it's just a world opening up for them. This culture. They were in the entire country of Chile. There were two classes on Indian culture, and they changed each every other year. You know, totally new area for them. We didn't know what was there. Yeah, the British hit it all. So this was very powerful. And what he'd done, he translated Hamlet into Spanish and got the meaning across, the feeling, everything else. Poet. He came to see one of our programs. I was so like, this overwhelmed. Came to one of our programs just to sit there. A second program, he came and participated in Hamlet and Arjuna, then we did something else, and he came, old guy, and was joined the audience, and we're just like, I bowed down, he rubbed my head, and they demanded he come up on stage. And he's very shy, very humble stuff. And it's okay, I got something here. And he started reading some verses, translations. And I was watching the audience, the ambassador of the United Nations, whatever, best television channel. And they go, a big audience, packed full, And they were just like, yeah, because it's such powerful language and stuff. So Hamlet and Arjuna, I've been to so many times and I'm sick of it anymore. But yeah, but it is. It's just a wonderful analogy of the Varna Ashram Dharma in there is so powerful, such an explanation. Remarriage. Yeah. Remarriage is a big deal. In the United States after World War II, there were so many young girls who were married at 18 years old, maybe had a couple kids, their husband died, never came back, so many, and they were maybe like 25 years old. When I was a little child, my grandmother's friend came and she was dressed all in black. And I asked, why is she wearing black? Well, she's a widow. Anybody remember that? Anybody that old? Yeah, so right after World War II, you saw this big argument. Should these girls go on as widows their entire lives? Or is it just too difficult, too cruel, unfair, 24 years old? So it went back and forth. You could see the media, and finally the conclusion was if any of these girls want to stay widows their whole lives, and because of their affection or respect for their husbands, we should give them a lot of help because they're going to need it. Or if they don't, they want to get remarried after some time, okay, nobody should criticize them. So it was a very interesting thing about remarriage and chastity. It's dharma for ladies. There's no smaller tests for ladies. No. They're just as tough, but they're different. So Hamlet just brings those things out and puts them right there. We didn't even get into that. The ontology is Hamlet's father is a ghost. He's come back. What happens when you die? And there's a whole thing about that. Well, yeah, definitely the ghost is there and you're not going to die and there's a whole body and everything else and so on. And he just puts it into such powerful language and so many verses and so on. And so we finished this whole thing off. The first time we did it was the University of Santiago in Chile. And one lady, Claudia Lira, she was then a professor and she saw the whole thing. And I needed some quote to finish this thing off with. And so I had this thing that said, those who do not learn the lessons of history will be forced to repeat them. And I know somebody said it, but I put Tom Brown down, who's the little monkey we use. Okay. And I looked over and she's writing it down. I said, oh God, please don't let her ask who Tom Brown is. So anyway, did our monkey. Somebody said it, And then afterwards, after this program, we have started with a cultural program, which you do, where this guy was there, a Russian guy in the temple in Santiago. He was an incredible violin player. He could have held the entire show by himself. Okay, oh yeah. And then after that, we had I did a PowerPoint show on Hamlet and Arjuna, and then somebody else came up with something else. And we finished off. I went 1, 2, 3, and then they had 3 kinds of savories, 3 kinds of sweets, and we had was the best auditorium in Peru. It was the best cultural center. It has 3-story elevators, everything else packed full. And then and it was all the girls were dressed up. Some were dressed up in saris, some different regular clothes. It was just like culturally, they just turned on. Oh, God, we can do this. Yeah, they did it. It was this incredible cultural program. The art, we had it everywhere. And then people were going around. The director of culture for the best radio station in the country, was there and everything else, asking us, can you come on the radio and everything else and so on. So yeah, it's a very, very good preaching area and using the Bhagavad Gita. And yeah, they sold them. They just like, everybody, yeah, I want a Bhagavad Gita, And so it just was a very, very useful way of Hamlet and Arjuna. They're very, very good. There's so many things you can do. And it's the whole story of two princes. Arjuna does not want to fight. He wants to turn away from the situation. Hamlet says, time is out of joint, O cursed spite, that I was ever born to set it right. Okay, we almost finished here. Okay, yeah, thank you. And so we'll leave you with how does this last question relate to Bhagavad Gita? What do the gopis think about Bhagavad Gita? Yeah.
They were not intelligent enough to be the audience of Bhagavad Gita.
Who says that?
That's why Krishna spoke to Arjuna. This is what Sri Vaishnavas think.
Yeah. I mean, they want to know everything that Krishna is doing. Yeah. Even if they're, who's Hootie Mary? Like what you like? Like that. Yeah. Everything else. So yeah, we know Krishna wants to be with us. He's so kind. Krishna is so kind. He's gone out and done sacrifices. So they want to hear Bhagavad Gita too, no? Yeah, but they're looking at it from a different perspective and so on. So that's our little presentation. Okay, I don't know if anybody has any at this point questions or comments. Anybody online has questions or comments here? How do I see my screen again? Oh, Mr. Wizard. How do you bring it back?
Escape. Huh? Push escape. Escape key.
It always does it. If that doesn't work, Control Alt Delete. That's so sad. The ultimate. Okay, now we go to Brahmastra weapons. Hey, fella, I had it one time. The computer didn't respond. Lost control. It was incredible. People were coming in trying to beat the thing. What am I doing?
One thing is.
What are you? Wait a second. Wait a second. How do I show? Sorry, showing. Okay, yeah. Let me ask if there's anybody in the audience here. Please raise your hand if you're in the Partsarthi audience and you have a question or a comment. Yeah. Going once. Going twice. Finished. Okay, we'll see you next lifetime. Okay, now our audience here. Okay.
People have the issue that Bhagavad Gita is set in the battlefield and Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to become violent. How is this a peaceful God? So people on at least the moral and the ethical platform have a tough time accepting the Bhagavad Gita. Even Mahatma Gandhi, is supposedly the highest moralist.
Yeah.
Have a tough time about the Bhagavad Gita.
I can tell you right now, in Houston, there are people with masks on, with knives, cutting people, and taking all their money. Surgeons. Yeah. Surgeons. That's what we usually. Yeah. So our philosophy is, Baba said, that's what I do, but I think it's in Krishna book. Baba says that violence is never good, but is sometimes necessary to defend the weak against the strong when good arguments fail. But it has to be applied expertly, otherwise it will be a bad taste afterwards for everybody. Yeah. And so this is one lady, she was a real pacifist in South America. It was Chile again. And we're talking about her. She's one of our big sponsors, and she organized the program and everything else. And one of her sons had been killed during the whole revolutionary conflicts in Chile, And so she brought this up, everything else, violence, and no war, everything else, and so forth. So one devotee whispered to me, her son's a surgeon. And I did. She was very emotionally invested. I understood that. I wasn't going to try to convert or anything else. But I mentioned that, and you could see the seed was planted, and she began to realize that, it's not good. we had policemen one time. It was a weird thing. There'd be 50 police officers. One devotee's father was in charge of the Secret Service. Went in, there were 50 police officers all sitting at their desks with their uniforms on their hands on their desk like this waiting, you know. And about 15 police ladies, they all had the same, all their hair's in a bun, identical purses, everything sitting there. They came, we sat down with two devotees. His father came in, they all stood up. You know, gentlemen, ladies, this guy's going to tell you about the character of an ideal police officer now. Listen, okay. Okay. You know. And the questions and answers somebody asked, he said, if you kill somebody and it's in the line of duty and you couldn't avoid it, do you get karma? And I told him this. He said, yeah, it's never good. You know, sometimes it's necessary. He said, but you're not going to feel good afterwards. And I looked at maybe 2-3 people in the audience were going like, yeah, you kill somebody, it's just police officer. No, it's you can't avoid the lesson. It's something you know that was something wrong. You know, yeah. And so yeah, that's the situation. You know? But I mean, Yudhishthira was a supreme moralist. And he pushed every single moral angle he could. He refused so many times, again and again, in terms of ethics and morality. He did everything he could to avoid the fight. And even that wasn't enough. So Krishna had to go and show that, yeah, ethics and morality without idea of a person and personality involved like that will never really satisfy you. So, yes, sir.
You said Bhagavad Gita at the beginning that it was boring or beginner text, and then you also said it's emotional text.
Yeah.
That those two, it seems equivocal to me. It seems equivocal to me. On one side you said it's a dry, on the other side you said it's emotional.
Yeah.
So how do you justify those two statements?
No, because he's asking how we adjust that, you know, basically reason and emotion, how we adjust them. David Haberman's introduction to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he quotes from the Vayu Purana. Ultimately, everything is a matter of rasa. You know? You look at these Nobel laureates in physics and everything else, when we start talking about aesthetics and science, they just go nuts about the beauty and the symmetry and all this kind of stuff. And that's why you work all this tedious work for years. At one moment, you'll see nature will reveal to you these harmonies and stuff and so on. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's there. I mean, okay, almost all science, all practical science is based upon Euclid's principles. You know, what Euclidean geometry. Without Euclidean principles, you can't even have numbers, right? Point, you know, point. A number is a point. I mean, you get lines, right? My old professor showed us this thing. Without Euclid's principles, you can't count, can't even have numbers. Yeah, okay, that eliminates a lot of stuff. Then after that, what is a point? I mean, how much mathematics, even so much advanced mathematics, very advanced, uses his idea of a point. It's very, you know, incredible. So you're talking to these people, and you're a faith-based culture. You ask them, do you have axiomatic faith in the postulates of Euclid? Most cases, they won't even know what you're saying. They won't even know you. But yeah, that's it. You know, because you cannot logically support Euclid's postulates. Because every single kind of logic, well, as you start to get into what is logic, and you really start getting into very subtle aspect. In Christianity, Jesus Christ is the Logos, right? He's the Logos. We use the same thing. And so that's what we're talking about. Logic, yeah, and they start getting into very subtle things. Sadhguru would tell you they go beyond Euclidean, but this is defining a whole new idea of what is reality, you know, and so on. It's very different. We're caught up in points. And the point is neti neti. A point is that which has no extension, has no width, no breadth, no depth, no color, no flavor, no taste, no mother, no fire. This is the point. Yeah, that's the basis of your reality. It's neti neti. Yeah, and then the line is yeah. And so yeah, they themselves are based some kind of logic. And our logic is Krishna has to deal with this. Euclidean logic to some degree, points developing in subcategories, and it's like we do accept. I mean, Euclid was getting it from an earlier source. So that kind of logic and stuff is like, It's in grammar. Grammar uses the same thing. It's, different kinds of grammar. Chinese grammar, I think, is more circular. It's very, very difficult. They'll never come to a conclusion. They just keep coming more and more. Okay, I give up. Yeah.
It seems to go back to the
So the logic we use, and we use it as a tool. The first level of smarana is logical understanding. Oh, yeah, I understand. Oh, I understand. I stand under the mind, and now I can. Oh, that's yeah. Yeah. Smarana. Yeah. Okay.
Seems to go back to what you mentioned previously. That
Talk about
it seems to go back to what. So for my question, your answer was, everything ends of the conclusion is the rasa.
Yeah.
And you also made a statement previously that the morality and ethics without a personal guard is dry, something like that you said.
Yeah. Okay. Narada Muni in the beginning, he's talking about, he says, yeah, Vyasadeva, you've done all this stuff, you followed authorities, you were submissive, you're logical, but any philosophy what doesn't have the idea of an infallible hero. How many classics, how many romance stories have, the hero who never fails to protect people? It's just, he said, it's not Shobha. Jaya, Jaya, Gora, Chandra, Arotika. Yeah, it means brilliant. Yeah. Socrates rejected one drama. What do you think of it? Blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't brilliant. Yeah. And that's the soul demands that. But you get to logic in this, you start getting into like geometry and stuff like that, and Bhakti Siddhanta was doing it. Yeah, you can find it even within this stuff. It's just beautiful. In mathematics there are transcendental numbers. You know any transcendental numbers?
108.
Huh?
108.
Pi is a transcendental number. The square root of 2 is a transcendental number. Yeah.
You talk about mathematics. Andrew Wiles, who proved the Fermat last year. I watched a documentary. He said when he finally proved the theorem, it was so profoundly beautiful for him that he saw like God's immense beauty in that theorem. It was just simply
so everybody has their way of approaching. So anyway, maybe you want to kind of stop here and maybe a little bit more kirtan. And then that looks like a very short kirtan. Kirtan lecture, kirtan prasad. So I want to thank all of our participants we have online right now. Prema Priya Padma, Hari Lila Das, Abhay Narayan from Nashville, Brajveshwari Radhe Devi Dasi, Ishwari Radha from Peru, Krishna Pramodini Devi Dasi, Nandini Devi Dasi, Nitai Gora Sundar Das from Nashville, PQN Rupanuga, Shivada Balaba Das from Arizona, Tandavika Das from Franklin, Tennessee. We got a whole international audience here. So thank you all very much for your association. I'm sorry our microphone was off in the beginning, and hope to see you soon. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Nice class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Dandavat pranam to your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam Guru.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.